Okay, I'm here with another topic, which is also about how molecules move from inside of a cell to the outside. I know I keep drawing animal cells when I talk about the processes that helps exchange of molecules between the two surroundings, but it can also be plant cells. It can equally be plant cells. Okay, so going from inside to outside and outside to inside. In another video, we already talked about a process called diffusion. And if you need to refresh what diffusion is, go and quickly watch it and come back over here after that. Because this process that I'm going to talk about is it's very similar to diffusion, but it is also a little different in certain ways. But before I proceed to this topic, I have a few questions to ask whoever is watching this video. Have you ever noticed how when you soak things like chickpeas or maybe raisins or maybe kidney beans overnight, have you noticed how they swell up the next morning, like they get bigger in size? Have you ever noticed that? If you haven't noticed, the next time your mother decides to prepare some chole bhature or maybe rajma curry or maybe uh, some dessert that's going to have raisins in it, and she soaks it, make it a point to take a look at how it changes or if it changes at all after a few hours that she soaks it. That's question one. And the next question would be, if you have ever noticed it, have you ever wondered why that happens? Why do they suddenly get bigger in size and what's the reason? Right. So we'll talk about the reason in this class. Okay. The reason that they swell up, I'm sure that some of you are smart enough, intelligent enough to know that it has something to do with the water. Right. Now, in today's topic, the process that we'll talk about that makes that happen, brings that about, is called osmosis. Osmosis is the process by which that happens. So, let us now understand the mechanism of it. What actually happens at the molecular level? Okay. Now, osmosis describes the movement of water molecules. Let's say these are water molecules, and I'm going to draw many water molecules over here. And I'm also going to draw something else over here, which you did not see when I discussed diffusion. Because the structure that I'm trying to draw over here, this is going to be important here in this discussion. So I have drawn a couple of water molecules here, and I'm going to draw also a couple of water molecules here. Now, this structure that I have drawn over here, this structure is basically representing the cell membrane. We call this membrane a selectively permeable membrane. We can also call it a partially permeable membrane. Basically, what it does is that it is selectively permeable, means it allows only certain molecules to pass through it, and it's very choosy that way. Permeability is allowing, it is the ability to allow things to pass through it, and it is selective about that. So here, osmosis is described as the movement of water molecules. It is exclusively for water molecules as opposed to what we learned in diffusion. Diffusion talks about any molecule, whether it's a gaseous substance or a liquid substance, it doesn't matter. But osmosis is exclusively for water molecules. So these water molecules will move down their concentration gradient. Again, very similar to diffusion. It will move down their concentration gradient until equilibrium, right? Equilibrium, I'm sure you already understand what equilibrium means, but in case you don't, equilibrium is a state when the molecules are now roughly equally distributed in in either side, in either regions. Okay, so they are at equilibrium. There is no concentration gradient anymore when the substance and the process, whether diffusion or osmosis, it has already reached equilibrium. There is no concentration gradient anymore. And if there is no concentration gradient, then there is nothing to drive the process of movement, right? So at equilibrium, the concentration gradient is not there anymore, it is gone. So that is what osmosis is. It is the movement across a selectively permeable membrane of water molecules from a region. This is a region. This is a region of higher concentration of water molecule. It will go to a region of lower concentration of water molecule until equilibrium is reached. That's very important here as well. Okay, so that's what osmosis is. Very simple. I hope this was fun. And now let's connect it to the example that I began with, right? So over here, I said that the chickpeas swell up, right? Now what happens basically, now imagine, okay, I'm taking out one dried chickpea over here. I'm trying to draw a chickpea over here, okay? So it's a dried seed. A dried seed contains negligible moisture, right? So assume it has no moisture, because if it has moisture, then it will rot. So packaging, when these food items, these raw food items are packed, it is ensured that these are dry, okay, so that they can be stored. So if there is no water, and these chickpeas are made up of many cells, right? So when you soak them in water, it is surrounded by many water molecules, whereas the cells that make up the chickpea, it does not have any water molecule, right? So therefore, we can say that here on the outside, there are many water molecules. In this region, there are many water molecules, whereas on the inside, in the region inside the cells that makes up the chickpea, there are no water molecules. So therefore, there is a concentration gradient, right? A very steep one here. So water moves by the process of osmosis across the semi-permeable membrane. So if you imagine this to be a cell, a single cell, there are many such cells that make up one chickpea. So if you imagine this to be that semi-permeable membrane, so the water molecules will move across the semi-permeable membrane until equilibrium is reached. And when water enters, because here before, when it was dried, there was no moisture, no water molecules, it was completely dry, and the cells are all very shrunk and small. Now water is entering, and water molecules are accumulating in the region over here. So now when it is accumulating, it has some volume, right? Water molecules, and it will take up some space. So what happens is that it slowly causes the cell to expand to its original size. And that is what causes the chickpeas to grow almost to double their sizes. So now you know what causes raisins, chickpeas, and kidney beans to swell up when you soak them in water overnight. Isn't that interesting? I hope so. Okay, so that was osmosis. I will come up with another fun video and talking about another topic and try to make it interesting. Until then, have fun. Bye. And thank you for watching.